Hello guys, how are we all doing? Welcome back to Championship predictions for some massive midweek games. There's only 4 games left for most of the teams in the Championship, so let's get into some more big predictions. Before we get into this video, do make sure to drop a like. We'll go for 357 likes on this one, and do make sure to subscribe. I'm joined by Sophie. How are you doing?
I'm buzzing after the weekend, honestly.
Well, it was great, wasn't it?
Playoffs are on.
But even not just Coventry, but there were so many big results at the weekend, down the bottom, up near the top.
Yeah, it was great.
It was crazy. Yeah. Let's get into the first game then, and it's a massive game at Bloomfield Road as Blackpool down the bottom take on West Bromwich Albion. Both sides picked up wins at the weekend. Yes, Blackpool were playing bottom side Wigan at home, which is, you could maybe say, the most winnable fixture, but they had to win it, and it's given them a chance. There's 4 games left. They're a few points adrift. Who knows, if they get a result here, then it actually does start to look like it's on, because QPR and Reading above them, they're faltering.
Cardiff too.
Yeah, I could see Blackpool getting out, but they have to win this one. West Brom, meanwhile, they have that game in hand, and they're right behind Coventry, they're right behind Sunderland. Yep. They just won at Stoke. Oh, I don't know. Both sides need a win, Sophie.
They do.
Let's go for a big win down the bottom. 2-1 to the Tangerines.
Oh, wow. I do see them scoring in this, and I feel like they've got to fight for their lives now. I kind of hope they stay up there because it was such a good away day, and if Coventry stay in the Championship, I'd love them to stay up just for the away day alone. So I'm kind of rooting for you guys. However, I don't see them getting anything against West Brom. West Brom, at times, I will say, do look very good, and like us, they're chasing the playoffs, so both teams are really going to be going at it. So I see it being quite an open game, but for me, the Baggies win 2-1.
2-1. Okay, fair enough. We're going either way on that one. Do get your predictions down below. We'll move on to the New York Stadium, where the Rotherham United take on Burnley. Rotherham lost to Luton Town. No disgrace in that, and I feel like they've picked up some good points against teams at the top end. Wouldn't surprise me if they got something here. I mean, Burnley dropped points to Reading, which is not like Burnley. I mean, it just goes to show the standards that they've been setting and the standards Reading have been setting, that 0-0 was heavily celebrated. I mean, Reading fans, I
think they were celebrating that they still got that points tally, to be honest.
Yeah, they took a point. I mean, there's probably Reading fans whipping their shirts around and everything. Honestly, crazy result. I think this could be close because Rotherham are dogged, and I'm pretty sure they only lost narrowly when they went to Turf Moor. I'm pretty sure it was like 3-2 in the last minute. I'll say Burnley pinch it, but it'll be close. I'm going to say Rotherham 0, Burnley 1, and Burnley are going to keep going for the big points tally. Do
you know what? I agree with you, and I see it being a really late goal. I feel like Rotherham are really going to dig deep in this game. They're going to have to, and I see them almost getting over the line with a 0-0, but then I just see Burnley nicking it right at the death. So 1-0 for me as well.
Yeah, we're agreeing on that one. Okay, next up we'll go to Bramall Lane, where Sheffield United take on Bristol City. What a win for Sheffield United in the early kickoff. They beat Cardiff City, and they just take another step closer to automatic promotion. The gap is quite nice that they've got over Luton and Middlesbrough. I know Luton and Middlesbrough both picked up wins at the weekend, but Sheffield United have got a good gap. They've got that game in hand. I just don't see how they're going to mess it up. They've got a few nice fixtures as well, and I think this is a really winnable one. Bristol City didn't look great at Watford. I mean, losing 2-0, it weren't a great result considering Watford have been in a poor run of form themselves. I think Sheffield United will get another comfortable win. I'll say 2-0.
Yeah, I think that before the Watford game, Bristol City had been putting in a couple of good performances, so I don't think it's going to be an easy game for the Blades. I see them conceding again, but I do see them getting over the line, so I'm going to say 3-1.
3-1. Yeah, both going for the Blades, but you're going 3-1. Okay, next up we'll go to Stoke City, who take on Wigan Athletic. Wigan are on the verge. I mean, they could be relegated this week. And I really don't know if I can see them getting anything at Stoke. I feel like that Blackpool game was almost their last chance to really try and get a move on. And even if they win this Stoke game, they've got so much work to do. Stoke City haven't been brilliant since they took down Coventry. It's almost been the worst thing that happened to them. I mean, you shouldn't have done it. You shouldn't have done it to us.
Shouldn't have hit your peak against us.
I know, but yeah, they've lost to Bristol City, they've lost to West Brom, and I think I will go for a Stoke win here, just because we're going to really stinking it out a bit. Stoke 1-0.
Yeah, I wonder now whether after the Blackpool game almost like the fight's gone, because it almost seems like mission impossible. And I feel like Stoke, they don't need to get back to winning ways, but I feel like they will get back to winning ways against Wigan. So for me, fairly comfortable 2-0.
2-0. Okay, right, next up, so if this could be interesting, we'll move on to the Stadium of Light, where we've got Sunderland versus Huddersfield Town. Two really good entertainers this season. Sunderland, honestly, they've been amazing. I mean, if you think about the whole season, a team that's come up from League One, they have done really well to be 1 point behind Coventry, you know, nearly in the playoffs at this stage of the season. If they get in the playoffs, that is a great achievement for a team that just came up. Huddersfield Town, we know they've been good under Neil Warnock, but they did lose, which seems quite a rare thing, at Swansea City, but Swansea have been good as well. This is two teams that have been pretty good at times lately. I feel like Huddersfield are going to stay up regardless if they win this, but if Sunderland want to make the playoffs, they have to win this. So that's tempting my prediction here to go Sunderland 3, Huddersfield 2.
Yeah, I'm wondering whether to tip the home side as well, just because Warnock now, the pressure's kind of off, so he doesn't really need to get these wins anymore. So are they still going to have the same kind of fight and energy going into the games? I don't know. Sunderland, however, they need to, I think they are making a playoff push, and I mean, you can't rule any team out at the moment, so they need to be looking at this as a must win really if they're going to be making the playoffs. And I don't see it happening. I see it being a really entertaining 2-2.
2-2. Okay, interesting. We're not too dissimilar there, but yeah, two teams that can be good at times. We'll see what happens. Next up, we'll go down to the Den. It's Millwall taking on Birmingham City. Now, Millwall's run of form wasn't great, but they did beat Preston. Fair play, you did back them to win that one, and it's put them up to 65 points. They're getting that little bit closer, and you look at their fixtures, they've got Birmingham,
they've got the easiest run,
they've got Blackpool, they've got Wigan, and then they play Blackburn on the final day. I think 2 wins and a draw and Millwall will be there, and I think they could easily do that with the fixtures they've got. Birmingham City, they lost Sunderland, they took the leads and then kind of threw it away. They can be an obstacle, but I think with Millwall having so much to play for, they're going to grind out another dogged win. Millwall 1-0.
Oh, the trusty 1-0's back. See, I backed them to win 1-0 and they just fancied a couple more goals. Well, one more goal. I see them being another 2-0 actually. I'm going to say fairly comfortable against Blues, and Millwall are going to finish in the playoffs for me. 2-0.
Yeah, and you feel like if Millwall win this and then the next one, they're probably
It's almost bang on,
and it's just 6th place up for grabs. And speaking of 6th place, we'll go to Wednesday's games. Ewood Park, possibly the biggest game, Blackburn versus Coventry. And I'm not just saying it's the biggest game because I'm a Coventry fan, but it is 6th versus 7th. This is massive. Both sides, I was thinking about this, Sophie, both sides probably have to win because although Blackburn are just ahead of us with the game in hand, and you could say they might be slightly happier with a draw, if they draw, Sunderland and West Brom could go past them. So both sides need to be going for a win here. Blackburn's form isn't great. I mean, they've had a really weird season, how they were winning and losing, and then they had a good winning run a few weeks ago,
and
now they're they're just not on a very good run at all, where they're struggling for wins, and it's the worst time to
falter, really.
Be running out of gas. You know, you need to really put your foot down with a few games to go. Coventry City, I mean, if we look at the last few games, we've not been perfect, but that one game in isolation at QPR, we were brilliant. I mean, honestly, that was some of the best game management. I know QPR haven't been good, but we took the lead early, we saw out some pressure, and we got a couple goals at the end, and just, brilliant. The goal difference has gone back up again, and this is tricky, so I think it will be a lot closer, this one. I've got to go for Coventry. 1-0. 1-0 Sky Blues.
Yeah, this is a massive game. But I agree with you. I'm going to have to back the Sky Blues. I just feel like Blackburn, recent weeks, their form has dipped. And as you say, it's the worst time for it to take a dip. So both teams are going at this. Both teams need the win if they want to finish inside the playoffs. So I can see it being quite an end-to-end kind of game, quite entertaining. But Coventry win 2-0. 2-0.
Yeah, interesting. Okay, we're both going for the Sky Blues there. Let's move on to the next game. Another team in the playoff mix, Norwich City, are away at Queen's Park Rangers, who I just saw against Coventry City. And two sides that got a bit of a beating at the weekend. QPR losing 3-0 to the Sky Blues. Norwich on the Friday night losing 5-1 at Middlesbrough. I think the favourites for this will be Norwich, but I feel like Norwich are becoming a team you really can't trust. I mean, they've actually thrown it really away. I mean, they were on the edge of the playoffs, and now they're really going to fall away with the results they've been getting. Sunderland and West Brom look to be overtaking them. I can't back QPR because of how poor they are, and I don't think most of them are behind Gareth Ainsworth now. It's not going well. But then Norwich, 0-0.
0-0. Oh, do you know, I could actually see that playing out, and that wouldn't be a disastrous result for QPR. That would be a point on the board when they need points and just steady the ship a little bit. But I'm going to have to edge the away side. I feel like Norwich need to bounce back after that heavy defeat against Borough. And I can see them doing it, but a low-scoring game for me. So 1-0 Norwich.
1-0 Norwich. Okay, next up, down to South Wales, where Swansea City take on Preston North End. Gotta say, Swansea's form is really, really good.
Yeah,
I mean, they just keep winning. I mean, as we said a couple videos ago, Coventry's draw at Swansea now looks very good because they've won every game other than that one. And they take on Preston, who, let's not forget, were also in very good form before losing that crucial 6-pointer to Millwall. They still have a good chance of making the playoffs if they bounce back with a win here, but I don't think it's easy. This is two teams that have been pretty good in general lately. I'm going to go for Swansea, though. Swansea are really impressing me, and it's kind of come at a bit too late for them to make the playoffs, but maybe it can be seen as a positive going into next season. Swansea 2-1.
Yeah, I could see that playing out as well. However, I'm going to back a draw. I think Preston now, they're in the shout for the playoffs as well. They need the points. Really, they need a win. But Swansea are in really good form, so I don't see them getting a win, but I do see a draw playing out. So I'm going to back a 1-1.
1-1. Okay, interesting. Next up we go down to Vicarage Road, where Watford take on Cardiff City. Cardiff, as you mentioned earlier, Sophie, are one of those teams that are just not doing it. I mean, I think they're probably a bit better than the teams in the bottom three. They're better than QPR and Reading at the moment, I'd say. But they're still not getting the results, and they're not getting a move on, which means they could be in danger come the end of the season. And I don't think I can see them actually getting anything here at Watford, where they might be slightly turning a corner. I think I'll go Watford 2-0. I feel like Chris Wilder's just trying to make a late push for the playoffs. It was a good win against Bristol City. They've probably got to win every game. I'll give them a win here. 2-0 Watford. Yeah,
I'm going to say maybe slightly less goals for me. I'm going to back the home team, though. I do think Watford have more quality, and that's why I'm tipping them to win. I think Cardiff have got to be careful. I don't think they're bad enough to go down, but you really do have to be careful here, and that's why I think it's going to be quite a tight game. But for me, Watford win. 1-0.
1-0. Okay, interesting. We'll move on to the Riverside, where Middlesbrough take on Hull City. Middlesbrough, I mean, back to winning ways really emphatically. They were devastating against Norwich. But Hull City have been taking points off good teams this season.
I'm a fan of Hull City at the moment.
Yeah, do you know what?
They're doing us some favours.
They took a point off Blackburn Rovers, and they're just going about their business, kind of ruining teams' seasons.
I like it.
I really could see Hull getting something here, but Middlesbrough were just so brilliant against Norwich. I'll give Middlesbrough the win, but only just. I'll say Middlesbrough 2, Hull 1. Could be a good game.
Yeah, I really want Hull to kind of cause a bit of an upset again, because I'm loving what they're doing at the moment. However, I do think that Middlesbrough just have way too much quality, and how can I not back them after that one against Norwich? So for me, they win 3-1.
3-1. Okay, the final game then, we go down to Reading, where they take on Luton Town. This is an interesting one. It's, do you go for a team that have been really good over the course of the season and have really good form in Luton, or do you go for a team who picked up probably the biggest surprise result of the weekend, getting a 0-0 against Burnley? I mean, for Reading to get a draw against Burnley, they'll feel like they can get a draw against Luton as well. But is it a one-off? I don't know. Let's say it's close, but Luton Town just know how to grind out a win. I'm going to go Luton Town 1-0.
Yeah, I'm getting sick of saying this, but Luton Town are flying, and I don't think Reading are getting in their way. So for me, they win this comfortably, 2-0.
Just a quick question about Luton. Do you fancy them to win the playoffs at this moment in time?
At this moment in time, yeah, I actually do.
Interesting.
Yeah, I think it could be a tight one between them and Borough, or Coventry City.
Ooh, throw that one in there. Right, guys, that wraps up this video. Do make sure to drop a like and subscribe. Do get your predictions down below, and thank you for joining me, Sophie.
Thank you.
We'll see you for the predictions for the weekend in a few days' time. Peace out.